Hi, and welcome to the webinar of Introduction to Israeli Tax for Alim, for new immigrants. Thanks for joining me. I'm very excited. My name is Elena Nemets. I'm working as an international tax manager in one of the big accounting firms here in Israel. I'm also Oleh Hadasha. I came to Israel 9 years ago, and I'm an alumna of Gvahim program in 2014. Last 15 years of my life, I have been doing international tax from various perspectives. And now I'm mainly serving the corporate clients and the private equity funds who are doing investments in Israel and abroad. It's actually a very informational webinar. It will be full of theoretical and practical information, which will help you to navigate taxes in Israel. I am an Israeli CPA, Certified Public Accountant. I'm also in United States CPA. I'm married. I have one kid. This is how you introduce yourself in Israel. And let's navigate the Israeli taxes together. If you have any questions about the lecture or want to discuss with me your personal situation with taxes in Israel, you feel free to email me, and that's my email address. Okay, so what we will discuss during these 5 lectures? We will discuss how personal income tax works in Israel and which benefits are available for Alim, and some paperwork things like, do you need to submit a tax return? Which documents do you need to fill in on your place of work? Which other taxes are applicable? And that's very important, because when you get an offer from any employer in Israel, they will indicate your gross salary. So you will need to understand how much money you will actually receive after paying all the taxes. And also we will discuss the international tax aspect, because you will not come to Israel and break any links with your native country probably, or maybe you have investments, or maybe you have an apartment, or maybe you have shares, or maybe you have some business abroad, or maybe you will work remotely. So we will discuss these topics. How do you plan it conceptually? Because we can't cover the tax regimes in any single country in the world, but we will discuss it conceptually, and then you can consult with your local advisor on more specific issues. Native speakers, I hope you don't mind my mistakes in English. So let's go. When you come to Israel, when you start researching Israeli taxes, you'll probably come to some forums and discussion boards, and you will ask questions, or you will search the discussion threads, and you will see that Israeli people are very quick to give you advice. They like to give advice. The problem is this advice may not be correct, because not all of them are experts. So one of the myths that you will hear a lot on the forums, that Alim Chadashim do not pay taxes in Israel. That's not exactly correct. And let's try to understand why, what happens in practice, what happens according to the law, and why this legend exists. Okay, this is a bit of a heavy slide, but be with me. The tax in Israel, the personal income tax, which is called Mas Akhnasa, the tax authorities who deal with it are also called Mas Akhnasa, and it's a very scary word for everybody, but don't be afraid. They are not that bad. The personal income tax is progressive. What does it mean, progressive? The higher is your salary, the higher is the rate of tax you pay on each further installment. So if your salary is very low, and this is an annual income, if you just earn 74,000 shekel per year, which is very low, you only pay 10%. From the next installment, you'll pay 14%, then 20, then 31, then 35, then 37, and the highest well-paid individuals pay up to 50% of tax. I hope we will all be there, but okay, most of us will be somewhere around 20 to 35 probably. And this is applied for everybody, and it applies for the salaries and business income. If you are an individual entrepreneur, this rates also apply. There are special rates, flat rates on all types of passive income, like dividends, for example, are taxed at 25 or you own more than 10%. Interest is taxed at 25. Capital gains are taxed at 25 or 30. Capital gains mean you sell some shares or you sell real estate. There are special rates for rental. If you have a flat in Israel, you're renting it out. There are special rates and exemptions and all kinds of things, but probably it would not be relevant for you in the first years in Israel. So we will not get into detail. Also, for most of these types of income, the tax will be deducted at source if paid in Israel. If any Israeli company pays you dividend, it will deduct your tax at source. You will not need to pay it yourselves. Okay, and that's the game changer. That's the main reason why people think that Alim Chadashim do not pay tax in Israel. It's called credit points. In Ivrit, it's nikudot zikui. I know that not all of you know Ivrit, but I will tell you the Hebrew words so you know what you're talking about when you are coming to the country. It's called nikudot zikui, and each credit point is decreasing your tax liability by a fixed amount, which is 2,660 shekel per year, which means like 218 shekel per month. So after you calculate your tax under this nice ladder, you will decrease your tax by the credit points. And 2 credit points are given to any Israeli tax resident, and also a quarter of the credit point for transportation expenses. This is something that historically was introduced in Israel. And also the women got half a point extra. Sorry, not very feministic, but nice. And new alims also get additional points. And for the first 19 months in Israel, from the date of your Aliyah, and month is any full or partial months. So if it may be like, if you come at 25th, it will be only 5 days, but still, you got 3 extra points annually. What is 3 extra points? 3 extra points is saving you 765 shekels of tax each month, which is a lot. For the next year, after first 18 months, you're getting 2 points, and for the next year, you're getting 1 point. So in total, you will get this additional credit points for 3.5 years. Okay, there are additional credit points for parents. Depending on the age of the child, for each child, you get additional points. Mothers get the points until the child turns 18. Fathers only get the points until the child turns 5 inclusively. So you have extra points for every child you have. And the age of child, which is in the table, is the age of child that the child reaches in this particular year. So if the child is only born in this year, you get this amount. If the child turns 1 to 5, you get this amount, and etc. There are other rules. There are numerous rules on credit points. The most applicable to some of you may be if you are a lone parent, you get an additional point. If you are a parent of a disabled child, if you are paying alimony, if you have just graduated from the bachelor or master study, just graduate mean like I think 2 to 3 years. There are extra points. Also the soldiers, the Tahal soldiers, immediately after the discharge of the army. There are some special rules if only one of you work. If you work and your spouse doesn't, there are some special rules. If you want to apply them, it's better to consult with the CPA. And there are also extra credits. It's not credit points, it's credits as a percentage of tax for the people who live in certain development areas. It's mainly far north, like Ramat HaGolan, Negev, far south, some territories like Judea and Samaria. So there is a list of the places, the residents of which get extra credits. The extra credit is calculated as a percentage of tax that you get off, like a discount on tax, but you need to really live there. So it's something which you may want to consider. Okay, let's do a numerical example just to make it more clear. Okay, we have Karen, who is a 30-year-old female who lives in Rehovot, means in the center of the country, not in the development areas. She made Aliyah 1.5 years ago, say 1.5 already passed. She's married, has 2 kids, 3 and 10 years old. Her monthly gross salary is 14,000. Let's calculate her monthly income tax liability. So first we need to calculate the annual income, because the brackets that you saw on the first slide, this nice ladder, it's called madrigot in Hebrew, are based on annual income. So her annual income is 168,000, and then we start to calculate tax liability. We take the first bracket, first part of the ladder, and multiply it by 10% tax. Then we take a second bracket, multiply it by 13% of tax, and then her income is the third bracket. So the third bracket will be the last bracket for us, and we multiply that 20% of tax, and we come to 24,000 shekel tax annually before the credit points. Now we start calculating the credit points. She's got 2 for Israeli citizen, and 1/4 of a point for transportation, and 1/2 of the point for being a female. And she got 2 points as an Olah Hadasha. She's after her first 18 months in Israel. And she gets 2.5 points for 3-year-old kid and 1 point for 10-year-old kid. So in total, she gets 8.25 points. So her tax credit per year is this amount of points multiplied by what each point is worth. So she gets 21,500 shekels as credits. We deduct it from her tax liability, and we get that she needs to pay only 2,600 shekels annually, which means like only 200 monthly. So look, but her salary is relatively high. 14,000 is a relatively high salary. So if her salary is a bit lower, say 12K, 10K, she will be paying no income tax. And that's why on many forums, people say, Alim Hadashim do not pay tax in Israel, do not pay income tax. That's not true. They are paying income tax. They just have slightly higher credits. That's why for the low salaries, they do not pay tax effectively. Let's see what will change if Karen is not Olah Hadasha with absolutely the same data. If she's not Olah Hadasha, our tax liability is the same. Our number of credit points is now lower. It's now not 8.25, now 6.25 because she's not Olah Hadasha. So the credit is 16,000, not 22,000. So the tax payable for year will be almost 8,000, and the tax payable for months will be 650, which is like 3 times higher than for Olah Hadasha. It's not a rule that it's 3 times higher. In her particular situation, it's 3 times higher. So that's basically the reality, that the Olims are taxed Israeli income based on the general rules, but on the same progressive rates, increasing with the salary. But since they receive extra credit points during the first 3.5 years in Israel, their taxes are normally lower than the taxes of the Israeli, like you will say sabras, yeah, like people who were born in Israel, who live in Israel more than 10 years, with the same salary and same family situation.